All right, so I'm Kaia from Kaia Varies. Thank you for coming on to this new episode that I have, new series with, I'm calling it, I don't know, title's a little weird, but it's going to be like Badass Business Beauties or something like that.
I like that.
So it's a woman empowerment, woman-centered series that I'm doing where I want to highlight and focus on people that just do incredible things like you do.
Thank you.
So I'm really glad that we're doing this one in particular because I just met an amazing horse. His name is Cody. And you do some amazing work, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you got to sit in on that and experience what we did today.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for, I'm glad the client was able to let me do that as well because I know that can be very personal. It seems very personal.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it. I'm gonna start with some questions.
Right.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay.
And what you do and everything you do, honestly, because
All right.
you do more than just this too.
Okay.
So go ahead.
All right. So Vonnie Kalich. I am an equine gestalt coach. And what does that mean? So my horse and I partner to work with people to help them relieve themselves of grief, trauma, the stress in their life, to get back on track, to go through transformations, to heal their heart and start to love their lives again. And the name of my business is A Tale of New Beginnings. Tale is in Tail. And I chose that name after looking at all kinds of different names that I might come up with, and that just really resonated. And then I hired a design company to come up with the logo, and when they put the horse's tail in the A, it was like so cool. I just loved the way the cards turned out. And so it just all manifested itself very beautifully. So as an equine gestalt coach, my horse partners with me to work with the clients because horses, they hear our truth. And they can call BS on what's not our truth, what we really don't believe. And so horses do different things to show me that the client's not believing or they believe in what they're talking about.
I was noticing that with the client that we had today, you said there was a point where you said the horse hesitated. Was there something that you have a hesitation about? What kind of signals does Cody give you to let you know something's going on?
Okay, so as the client was walking from the one Coney was at to the other one, we saw him stop. Cody was kind of like all of a sudden came to a lurching stop. And as I saw that, I'm like, okay, I know there's some hesitation in him about what he was talking about at the one cone going into the next one. And how much did he really believe in himself to be able to accomplish those goals? And that's where Cody hesitated. It's like, I don't trust that he's trusting that he is going to follow through or that he really believes in himself that he's got the capability of doing what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's one thing to speak about what we want to do, but it's another thing to take the action. And that was going from the belief to the action cone, right? So other things that Cody has done is I will get somebody into a round pen and they start moving and I get them talking about whatever it is that's come up for them. Maybe it's the card reading, maybe it's just something that's been on their mind, and they'll start walking. And one particular client I had, all of a sudden, he's totally connected to her. He's walking along in the round pen with her, and then all of a sudden he just goes boop, right in front of her, just puts his whole body right in front of her.
Wow.
And I said to her, so do you want to tell me how you really feel about what you're just talking about? And the tears just started rolling down her face as she realized that all that stuff she was talking about was really not true for her.
Right.
And what really was true was still buried, and then it started to come out. And then it went from tears of grief about, oh my God, I can dump that stuff, to felt joyous about what she really wanted. It was very, very moving, very cool.
I didn't realize how intuitive horses are. I mean, I had one, didn't have one as a kid. There was one next to me as a kid, and I was scared to death of it. So I was kind of hesitant towards Cody, and I I was trying to make sure that you guys were the focus. I didn't want my hesitation or anxiety be like Cody's focus on me. So hopefully I did an okay job.
No, and it wasn't, right? Look at how much time he spent with the client.
Right, that's true. He
engaged with all of us.
He knows his job. He really does.
He does. He knows his job.
I was talking with the client about other therapies he's done, and in comparison to this one, and they had done a few where they just feel like the person who's doing the coaching or therapy is only invested in the session, you know. And I noticed that you wanted your client to send you something to continue that action plan even past the hours of the session, which is unusual because it ends and otherwise there, and he just feels like that's so much more helpful.
You know, the interesting thing is that also my clients, not only do they get to come and have that hour and a half to 2 hours with Cody and myself, but they also get to text me. They also get to email me if they need a phone call in between. If he wanted to call me, you know, in the next couple of weeks before we meet again, I'd totally take the call. I don't have a problem doing that. So
and that's incredible follow-up after hours. That's when people get the most lonely, most depressed. Like they're feeling good after a therapy, but it can wear off. It's you know.
Well, the interesting thing too is when you go to and I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with traditional therapy, because there's a lot of great benefits for people. There's people that I can't help in my realm as an equine gestalt coach. And then some people might ask too the questions like, well, what kind of therapy background do I have? Well, I don't have a background in therapy. What I do have is a 2-year certification program from from the equine gestalt coaching method through Touched by a Horse. So I spent 2 years learning gestalt work, which is a German word for wholeness. So it's an experiential process. So taking the client through an experience that helps bring them from parts of themselves to being whole again.
Okay.
So so you learn the gestalt work, and then we learn neurolinguistic programming. So it's how a person talks to themselves. So you noticed a few times I said to the client, so how do you change the language and take out the word need? Right? So when people say different things, it's like it's checking that language. How's that language hold us back? Because if I say I need something but I don't really know that I want it, or I really think that I can have it, then I'm probably not going to do anything about it.
Okay.
So then we deal with somatics of the body. We are dealing with the dynamics of family. We're dealing with all kinds of different things that we got trained on. And intuition, working with our intuition, was another key component of the training that we went through. And then how does the horse fit into the coaching method? How do we work with the horse? How do we partner with them to do this work so that we understand what's coming from the horse, how they're working with the client? Cody's very good at working on chakras too. So he moves his body in alignment with a person's chakras.
I didn't know that was also involved in your in it.
So you notice when Cody had his mouth up to, his nuzzle up to my client's neck today, and kind of licking on him. He's giving him that throat chakra that says it's okay to talk about what you're talking about.
I think this is a good segue to meeting Cody as well. So let's go ahead and get in there. And
go meet Cody.
All right, so this is Cody. Cody is how old?
He's more interested in going out on his pasture, because he would normally be out there already today, enjoying the grass and the sunshine. And what I find fascinating is sometimes when you drive by or you come out, you see a couple of birds perched on top of a horse. It's so cool.
Really?
Yep. Birds live with them in all different ways. Is that Kaia? You met her earlier, right? She got something in her hands.
I know, he's gonna...
It's different, isn't it?
So how old is he?
He will be 9 next month.
And you got him when?
He was 3. I got him from a horse rescue up in Kent, Washington area. It's the a Serenity Horse Rescue. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility. He's like, I'm going to smell that. Go in there and look at that, he says.
That's great. This is a great video. All right. So why choose the Gestalt method of coaching, healing, and all that?
Well, when I was living in Colorado, I was looking for something else to do other than the fitness industry. I was in a place in my life where I was, it was a major transition after a divorce, and I did not want to go really back to working for health clubs. Not that it's a bad place to be, it's just not what I wanted to do. And so I was looking for something else, and my friend Lauren, who was Cody's foster mom, was living in New Mexico at the time, and she was traveling from New Mexico to Colorado to go to these Gestalt trainings that I didn't really know anything about. And one day she stopped to visit, and I asked her about it, and I was very curious as to what she was doing. And as she described it, I'm like, wow, that sounds really amazing. Do you think that's something I could do? She's like, oh God, yes, I really think you could. And I applied to the program and got accepted. And so on July 1st of 2014, I was accepted into the Touched by a Horse program to learn the equine Gestalt coaching method. And I graduated, took my test in May. By August, I was working, holding my first workshop. Called it Health and Wellness Wednesdays, and Cody was a part of that. And after my first day of doing that, I walked away and I called a friend. I'm like, oh my God, I just had so much fun. This was the most amazing experience, and it's been doing it since then. The site is A Tale of New Beginnings, and it's Tail and Tail. So you can find me that way. You can find me on Facebook with the same business name, Instagram, Twitter. Actually, not even Twitter. I don't ever tweet anything, although sometimes I go, that's a good tweetable, and then I never tweet it. But Pinterest. And then my phone number. I'm going to list my phone number.
Yeah, you can list your phone number as well.
My work number is 360-904-7867. And I work at this beautiful facility called Elliott Horsepower Ranch in Vancouver, Washington. And this beautiful round pen and that wonderful barn back over there that I get to work in. And this is where Cody and I do our work together. And then, just so people know, it's not just coaching with a horse. I also do phone coaching and Zoom coaching with clients. I work with women around issues of health and wellness, transitional things in their life, healing up traumas. I'm trained in PTSD to work with veterans. You can find me through the Returning Veterans program as well. That's another place you can find me. I do the Horse Expo every year. I did the Women's Expo, not this year, but last year. So I do things like that. So I'm always looking at ways to get people to recognize me. Not last year, but the year before at the Horse Expo, someone came along and they're looking up at my banner and she goes, I've seen that before. Where have I seen that? She goes, oh, that's right on Facebook. So we're getting out there. And again, I'm available for phone coaching too for those that don't feel comfortable enough to be around a horse. And you don't have to be in the Round Pen Discovery group. And you could find it on Meetup, or you could contact me at my phone number that I gave earlier. And it's from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and Cody is a part of that process. Sometimes we get one person show up, sometimes we have 4 or 5. And we dive into pieces of work for different people that want to step up and do some work and kind of figure out ways to transition in life. So that's it.
And Wednesdays
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at Elliott Horsepower Ranch.
Okay.
You look that up on the internet, you can get the directions for it.
All right. Cool.
Okay. All right.